Major developments right now in China. I wanted to bring you the full story here today. The first thing we're going to look at is what's going on. What is this all about? The second is the fact that some individual may have been disappeared. We don't really know. The third is what's next. So I'm going to talk about all of these in steps, and we're going to watch an interesting video too. Let's begin. I'm going to take you through this step by step. What you're looking at here first is directly from the CCTV website. And this is the 20th National Congress. During this, you're going to get a speech from the leader. You're going to get who the new leader is going to be and all of these new modifications or anything that's happening to their policy will be displayed here. I also wanted to note at the very bottom, yes, I realize the font is very tiny, but that is Hu Jintao. I probably butchered the name, but you'll need to understand who he is in a minute. Let's look here. So if you didn't think it was possible, the leader in China has expanded his power even further, elevating loyalists and forcing out moderates. You can see the guy in the middle, the one that was literally his right-hand man. He is there, as always, very important figure. They discuss here how the leader has extended his formidable dominance, advancing a contingent of Communist Party loyalists ready to defend his personal power and expand the state's influence over the economy and on national security. Those are a couple things we'll discuss here. Now this is where it gets interesting. Hu Jintao's exit from China's Party Congress causes a stir. So I showed you who was on the right of him. The other guy that's being escorted out was on the left of him. That's Hu Jintao. Now I don't typically do this, but I want to watch the video together. And you could see for yourself right here, this individual is basically being held by the arm. If you look closely, you got the leader looking right in, and these other guys beside him are looking at him. The right-hand man straight ahead, not paying attention. I think he knows what's going on. Now, as we watch further, they're really struggling to get him up. He seems to not want to move. Some said that he was sick. He wasn't feeling well. Those were his documents right there that were being passed over. And he looks distraught, and he seems like he does not want to get up at all. Now, leader turns, he starts facing straight. There was a little exchange that they seem to have cut off where he actually goes to grab the paperwork, and the leader puts his hand on it and basically prevents it from happening. Now you got the second guy who's come over. They're forcing him to move. He still doesn't want to. And then you look at him. Come on, let's go. Let's go. And you're going to see what happens here in a second. Look, he's still fighting it. He's coming over. Come on. Come on, you want a cookie, don't you? Let's go. Don't worry, everything's going to be A-okay. We're just going to go on this train. All right. And now he starts walking away in disbelief. Seems like he's completely distraught. And watch how he turns over to the emperor. And he says, hey, hey. And you could see him saying something. And he nods his head. Yeah, everything's good. And then he taps on the right-hand man's shoulder. This is important. All of this. Walking, and he's being escorted out. Okay, that's the last you see. Now the report suggests that he wasn't feeling so well, that he needed a break, that he went to go lie down and he's okay. Do we know if that's the case? Absolutely not, but it's interesting. Now I don't know what happened. I really don't. And I'm not speculating, I'm just, I'm joking around a little bit, but all I'm showing you is the reports, the video, and a little bit of connecting the dots. That's it. We'll talk about what's happening here a little further. I wanted you to see this. Hu Jintao advocated maintaining good relations with the US and was also an opponent of a military solution to Taiwan. The suggestion here is that they're going to escalate what's going on, and we will break that down in the last section of this video. The CCTV evening news report on the 20th Party Congress closing ceremony shows Hu Jintao at the 252 mark. If we're really purged, as some are speculating, I highly doubt that CCTV would show him like this in the report. And that report, if you click on it, it was the one that I showed you initially when you were watching this video. So you could see his name was there, his face was there. it's all present. They're suggesting that the information has been scrubbed from the equivalent of, the Google and the Twitter and everything. You can't find this guy. And why? Because they're probably trying to censor any form of, argument, what's happening, any questions and all of this. Now, I don't know what's going on exactly, but I can show you that information and you can decide for yourself. This particular individual, nobody knows if he's been disappeared unless we see him at a later date. It's all speculation at this point. But what do we know for sure? It's that with the introduction of another 5 years of the emperor, that they're going to actually solidify the position in what they want to achieve. And what are those issues? Let's talk more about that. You know very clearly that they do not want foreign interference in Taiwan. China will never promise to renounce force. I mean, those are big, bold words right there. China reserves the option of taking all measures necessary against interference by outside forces on the issue of Taiwan. They discussed the resolve for reunification with the self-governed island, which Beijing considers part of its territory. The full quote is, "We will continue to strive for peaceful reunification with the greatest sincerity and utmost effort, but we will never promise to renounce the use of force, and we reserve the option of taking all measures necessary," saying we are going to take Taiwan by any means necessary. Okay, that's what they're saying right here. I'm not mincing words. I'm not, trying to puff this up at all. That's what he's saying. That's what he said specifically at this very important speech. So we got to pay attention. China halts LNG sales to foreign buyers to ensure own supply. Other countries have been doing things like this. They have restricted or completely blocked exports of some commodities. They want to protect their own people. I understand what's going on here in this case, but what does it tell us? Well, of course, these countries are setting up a time in which we will not have what we did before. Geopolitically, tensions are high. We are also encountering a problem right now with supply chains. They don't want to be at the mercy of another country or some problem at the port. They want to make sure they can protect themselves and are willing to take a little bit of a risk here because, of course, if you're exporting, you have a constant buyer. If your domestic consumption runs out, then you got an issue. This at the same time, we could look at what's going on with the issue specifically of Taiwan. And of course, they are looking at what happened with Hong Kong. There was the two-party, one system issue, and there was this whole idea that there would be independence, but that's not anymore. There is no Hong Kong independence. China has completely unified, if that's the word that they want to use. The same situation looks like they're going to happen with Taiwan. So this would give us a little bit of insight as to what we are going to see. Is the US going to come out there and actually use force against them if they do try to take it? Or is it simply just going to be, okay, let's make this happen? Because I really don't think Taiwan's going to be able to defend themselves. Ray Dalio, if you read the Changing World Order book, says that in the end, it's just not worth World War III to protect Taiwan. What's going to happen with the semiconductors? What's going to happen with all the development that happens on Taiwan? I don't know, but it's important to take a look at. Let's break this all down right here. So let's discuss the changes that have happened here in China. And I think people should just be aware of what's happening and, of course, what we need to be paying attention to. The leader of China has come into another 5 years of power. And this is concerning because for some countries, they're saying, okay, the trend here has been a lot more hostility. So they're basically this balance of power globally. Do we have to give up some of that, unified issues that we had before with the West controlled everything? Now things are really changing. Anyone opposing the path of the current China policies will be removed from power. We've seen that right now, whether it's the predecessor to the current emperor or whether you're looking at other people within the party. These articles that I did link in the description below basically get into that. If you weren't part of the trend, you're gone. Okay, out with the old, in with the new. Taiwan is now a focal point. It looks like it will be a confrontation in the near future. Something's going to have to happen. Something's going to have to give. We know that very clearly. China has been moving to increase their financial and economic global influence. They're doing everything. The AIIB, they're setting up infrastructure just about everywhere. They're creating partnerships, currency swaps, everything that they can do, they've been doing it. And of course, they're building all kinds of infrastructure in Africa and everywhere, basically. Different ports, I think Sri Lanka, all these different things. So they are really reaching out to try and grow, have more influence globally. Be mindful of the exposure of the West to China and vice versa. Their connection keeps them bonded. So, China has $1 trillion of the US debt. At the same time, they're manufacturing a lot of the goods that go to the United States, they go to Europe. So if they're in a battle, it's not going to benefit either side. The only institution or what have you that will actually benefit, of course, is the military industrial complex. There can be a Cold War kind of back and forth. There could be tariffs. There could be all these things that escalate. But in a hot war, if the countries are not going to export to each other, it would be like the Stone Age in a short period of time. Like, it would be crazy. The financial system would collapse. And of course, the economy would be in absolute shambles rapidly. This would happen rapidly if these sides would ever combat in this way. Could they do some sort of cyber war? Could they have these type of things occur? Yes, absolutely. So we'll look for that. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. If you are liking this video, if you found it interesting, first of all, let me know in the comments, but hit that subscribe button because each and every day I'm bringing out the good stuff. The last video I did about China completely lost. They took away all of the ad money on that, but I still want to bring you the information that I think is relevant to you. This will probably be the same situation anyway. So I appreciate when you do give me a thumbs up, when you do subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.